All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're gonna call this meeting to order. This is the tax increment reinvestment zone number one. We're at City Hall, City Council Chambers. It's 3:32. Everyone, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Ms. Ayala, could you help us with roll call?
Mr. Justin Heather,
Present.
Mr. Jesus Esparza,
He may be coming in a little late.
Mr. Francisco Mata,
Present.
Ms. Vanessa Guerra,
She is not here. She won't be here today.
Mr. Jose Ceballos,
Here.
Mr. Wilfredo Martinez,
Here.
and Mr. Juan Caballero.
Present.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Motion to excuse Ms. Guerra, is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Heather. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None, motion passes. Want to thank everybody who's made time to be here, board, city staff, our consultants, our fire chief Dominguez back there. Thank you for joining us. All right, next item is citizens' comments. Citizens are required to fill out a witness card no later than 5:45. Those can be found here. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No more than 3 persons will be allowed to speak on any side of an issue. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. Comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks will be permitted. I don't have anybody that signed up. Is there anybody here to make public comments? Not seeing anyone. We will move on to item number 5, minutes, approval of minutes for March 19, 2025.
I move to approve as presented.
I second the motion.
Moved by Mr. Heather, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. I think we have a person that's gonna be presenting, an artist that's got a project for us to hear. What is your time frame? Just so I keep that in mind.
Mike,
Yes, or some of you are at a time constraint.
it's 4:15 for Miss,
Okay, I think we're gonna get to her in time. I think it's the first item on action, so I'm gonna run through the standing status updates. I think most of this, we're gonna cover, some with KCI and some I'll do myself. Zaragoza Street improvements is the first item, standing status updates. And we'll have an action item on that. Edward, do you have anything different from last month?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Edward Ochoa with KCI for the record. No real updates other than the stone cap. The stone cap is actually being manufactured. We've been checking with them about once a week, trying to get an ETA. The best that we've gotten thus far is the molds are being manufactured, and as soon as they complete that, they'll start to manufacture the stone cap. We're anticipating from the date that they gave us, maybe around, maybe about 4 weeks from now, 3 to 4 weeks from now at the latest.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. Contractor's ready. As soon as those caps come in and get delivered, they're ready to get out there and pour that last little piece, get those done. Aesthetically, is basically what we're missing.
So the contractor is asking us to release the project that's substantially completed. I personally believe, and I've checked with engineering, they agree. I think you agree as well.
Yes, sir.
The project is substantially complete.
Yes.
And he sent us, anybody from the board wants a copy, I have copies here of the standard AIA form to release. You probably wanna see that. So there is this, I guess I call it a punch list item. You know, it's a cosmetic item. The project is, if you guys, I know you don't want paper, but maybe somebody that way. The project is substantially completed. Operatively, it's performing. What's pending is just a cosmetic item.
Correct.
So when we get to that item, we'll add any other comments. But if the board
Yes,
has
sir.
any questions now, we can also discuss here. And the interest of doing this too is, he's got a bond that's kind of committed, right?
Yes, sir, that's
So he wants
correct.
to free up that bond to be able to go after more work from
Yes, sir.
the
He-
city and other entities.
He's approached engineering, and then he's approached us, engineering. We've been communicating together, and his concern is, just kind of releasing the bond and being substantially complete. You know, he's really just waiting on that one item. It's hindering his ability to potentially bid on some other projects, so,
And
again,
that's an
just
item
like-
that we selected, right?
Yes, it is an item that we've selected. There was a little back and forth in design and things of that, just finite details of the item, but yeah, correct. Some of that delay certainly was on our end as a design team and city board.
So, stay right there, Edward. So
Yes, sir.
item B is Zaragoza. I know there's an update in terms of costs related to that work.
Okay.
The AEP Zaragoza improvements.
Oh, yes. So AEP, we had kind of gone back and forth with AEP, trying to fine tune some details. Good news is that we were able to fine tune the details, location of poles and everything. AEP submitted the final SEAC, as they call it, contract, basically the electrical contract. And the good news there is that from the number that the board had approved, their final number was lowered. It dropped.
Really?
Yes, I think the board had approved 137, not to exceed 137, and the final number came in at 108 and some change. We were able to, again, a little bit of a delay, but it worked out in our benefit. We were able to coordinate the removal of one pole and got them to kind of streamline it a little bit, if you want to call it that, right? And so it got us a savings, which is good. So the next step certainly was getting that contract to the city and then running it, and getting it to sign from the city side. So.
Ms. Martinez, who actually signs that? Is it engineering as well, or?
Yes, so, we'll facilitate the signing of that through engineering to the city manager.
So, from AEP's perspective, just as a quick update, as soon as they get that contract signed, I think they can work through a PO team. I think we talked about that in the email.
Okay.
They're okay with getting a PO from the city. As long as they get the contract signed, they'll go ahead and schedule it, and then it'll be on their schedule to get started, right? The poles being placed and the cleaning up of the overhead lines and all that stuff.
Okay.
That's the update.
On this LC construction, is there an estimated more, to comply with the wording here where it says the contract will complete or correct the work on the list of items attached here to within X amount of days? Have we established that? On buttoning up whatever?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the item, the action item 8, so it has a date. Yeah, it has a date there.
Yeah, so.
And it's tentative, but you gave me one date, and I added a few more days after that.
So, yes, sir.
Really the board meeting date.
Okay, so just as a summary on that, Mr. Mata, the manufacturer of the stone cap said it'll take 4 to 6 weeks from the date that you approve the shop drawings, and that date, that final date of some back and forth, and we approved the final shop drawings was March 29th. So it was 4 to 6 weeks from March 29th. So working through that, I think we ended up somewhere around mid-May at the latest. I've been, again, communicating with them and trying to push them the urgency of maybe being on the 4-week side and not the 6-week side, so.
And the logic I use is to use the board date to give them at least to that date where they can report.
I think, I haven't spoken with ALC as to how long it'll take to get the work done, but certainly they've got all the material except for that cap. When that cap comes in, they can do it probably in a few days.
Worst case scenario, how many days are we looking at? 30, 60, 90?
No, from the date that's probably there, that
13.
worst case scenario, maybe another week or two after that. That's just worst
The work
case.
itself is like a 2-day, right?
The work itself, I think, would be 2 or 3 days, right? Yeah, certainly. I don't anticipate it being more than a week.
Right, but from this date, how many days?
From today?
60, 90? Because I just want to comply with, not leave a blank here where it says X amount of days. So if we can put a worst case scenario, put 90 days.
Sure.
60
Yeah,
days.
I guess we can work with city engineering to figure out,
So that we can come up with some.
come up with a date.
So that way we don't leave this blank.
Yes, sir.
In this,
Agreed.
That's all where I'm going with it.
Yeah, agreed.
We can put that in the motion where we vote on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can fill out that, we're gonna fill out that form and we can fill out that date, so that, make sure we're not having to go back to that form again, re-sign it.
The next item I'll update the board on, so the wayfinding, we did have a committee meeting and basically made some conclusions on things that were pending or developed some plans for finalizing those. The only thing at this point that's pending is, and I shared with the board a map. Is this one? I think it was shared with you all on email. So everybody knows, is this. So for the board, we had asked Able City to add a few more icons. So there's just a couple of icons pending. And I think they got very close today. They just ran out of time. So I think we're gonna get that within a few days. Once we get this map solidified, I think everything's gonna get released. I did talk to FSG and asked them how important it was to get into production, and then they're saying, well, they still have to send shop drawings back. So we still have a phase with the signage company to review shop drawings. So we were thinking at the committee that we would release into production, but so at this point is wait a few more days for this, release everything, get shop drawings, and then release into production.
Do they need this for the shop drawings?
They do, because since I didn't have this digitally for them, they need to look at the detail of the graphics to be able to determine if they're gonna do it in-house or if it needs to be a third-party vendor.
Gotcha.
So, although we got sophisticated with the map, it kind of adds another layer of, could they do it in-house or not? Some of the decisions that were made included, basically on the street poles, not having decorative icons on top. You all remember those as just going with a straight cap, because it was basically not budgeted, so that decision didn't need to be deferred. Other things that needed to be defined are on those street directional poles. There were flags, so we decided just to have 3 flags on each pole, and those entities got named. I'll send everybody the PowerPoint. I'm not sure that it was shared, but of the summary of what it's going to look like. I'll send that to you tomorrow on email. It'll be on a PowerPoint. What you'll see on that PowerPoint is markings in red. That's the changes that the committee made on that. Again, it's not being released, but I think now we're pretty close. As soon as we get the final map, that'll get circulated as well. Any questions on wayfinding? Oh, the other note for the board is we did that meeting. Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is partially funding this, was included and was part of that meeting. So we got their participation on there. Item D is the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program. The latest update is, I appreciate the city and all the staff that's put in the work to, some publicly and some behind the scenes, probably more behind the scenes, to get that AFA, Advanced Funding Agreement, signed. If anybody wants a copy, I printed a bunch here. Anybody wants to look at it, it's basically what we've seen before. It establishes our match. It establishes the time frame, and establishes pretty much the requirements for that project. That project has a contingency, which is, it's a reimbursement program. So you want to think about it as a grant, but it's really not a grant until you actually complete it, because that's when you get reimbursed, minus the 97.5, which is our match. You remember the match was in the 200, so we got, I think, a lot of things working for the board down here for the TIRZ with that leverage. I think we've covered that a lot. So the benchmark now is that's gotten released to TxDOT, and essentially now it's about getting our agreements in place with the city, which I think that did get circulated to the board, right? The project development agreement. And I wrote an item on the agenda before I actually saw the agreement, and I'll ask our advisor today when we get to that if we can actually move on it. The way I wrote it was as an amendment, but basically it's I think Ms. Martinez probably had a hand with legal to put that together. It's the same language that we had in the original project development agreement. And I do have some notes that I'll share on that when we get to it. Any questions on that particular project? Last thing I'll say for the board to be advised, so I did get a call from the one of the TxDOT project managers on this, program. The letting date that was established was, in August, so it's an extremely tight. He didn't feel like it was not a movable date, but I think we ought to, I would encourage the board to move at a pace that gets us to that, or very close to that August date, which means we have to get the solicitation out, procure the engineer, get the design and put it out for bid. So he asked me that, I said, well, we're just turning over the AFA. In fact, they didn't have it yet, so he understood, and he seemed to be okay with the reality of maybe pushing that a little bit back based on how long things could take. But that's the update on that. The It Street Monument sign, same thing with Able City transitioning some of that work onto us. We tried to have a call, and there was some miscommunication. We couldn't get into a call with the vendor. I did talk to him, but we tried to do a group call, and that didn't work. Somehow he didn't have the invite. The latest there from engineering is that they don't have a notice to proceed yet, so we're still in the shop drawing development stage. And there's, the committee decided on a few things when we met, and that's also in the minutes of that meeting, which I'll send to you all. Essentially doing away with that, the digital sign and backing in the things that were covered at the last meeting. So what's gonna happen from here is we'll set up another group call that includes the city, and then we'll itemize those changes and those costs, and hopefully come back at the same number and report that to the board. The call's probably gonna happen this week. I think we're trying to shoot for, last date I think was Thursday morning. Yeah, so we may have an update, pretty soon for the board on that. So the signs, again, you take out that board, digital board, and you add some additional, the only thing that we hadn't priced that was not on that list was a change of lights on those, they're not neon, but on those LEDs, like when on that pole is to change it from green to red, and that's what he wanted to talk about, how many lights did we want on there, so he could price that component. Hopefully everything falls in place with that. I'm gonna try to push as hard as I can to get those projects moving within the next 30 days before the next board meeting, and come back with action for the board. Questions on that one? Murals is the next item, item F, murals program, so we had some success. I forgot the pin drive, so I shared the paper with the board, and they have it up here, but I don't know if
You can put it on the.
yeah. Or you have a copy of what's, or a,
Presentation?
yeah,
Yes.
okay, so he's gonna present on, go ahead. Ms. Bruneda and Ms. Castillo have done a lot of work getting the first one done. The first one's always the hardest. And this is a good scalable one. I mean, it's not a small project.
Good afternoon,
Good.
Amanda Fernandez for the record. Let me give you all the status of this one, the current one that we're working on, and potential properties that we have secured as well. So this is the one on 1016 Iturbide Street. Artist is Mr. Gonzalez. He was approved sometime last year, and Mr. Abel began the mural installation on March 11 of this last month, and is currently in the final stages of the mural. The first installment was paid in March, and the second will be paid today, with a final payment due upon completion of the mural. The mural is expected to be completed by this week. So the fee base was $14,600, and we divided it in 3 payments, which was $7,304. Second payment is $3,652, and then the final after completion will be $3,652 as well. So this is the before and after of the property.
Looks great.
This one is a city-owned property that has been approved. Location is 802 Grant Street, and I can show you my screenshot and aerial view of the property and a picture, street image as well. It's located on Santa Ursula and Grant Street, in between Iturbide and Zaragoza. So artist is Emily Bayless. She was approved last year within the RFPs. And this is the mural design that was approved back then. It's Buena Suerte. And fee base was to be determined. She did come up with a second design for consideration. And it's this one. So it's the fence, including the chain link on the face, on the facade of the building. The one without the color is a design. And the beads are the electric blue. And the fence will be, what's the color of the?
Is that all paint or is actual fence?
So it's all paint. It's all fence, but that's the name that she mentioned, a fence. So Ms. Emily is here. She might be able to give you guys more information on that.
Sure.
Like paint a picture of what this is. So the fence, the chain link fence will be made from red terracotta earthenware clay. And they will each, oh, sorry, Emily Bayless for the record. Good, okay. So the image that you see on the screen, the sketch on the bottom right, that's a black and white rendering that I had done. The diamond shape and then the X shape are going to be terracotta clay tiles that repeat to create a large chain link fence. In the center of each tile is going to be a bright blue electric blue bead.
That is a way better description from
Like, I'm a little bit nervous now that I'm up here too. But, so you can see on the top right, the beads that are hanging there are an example of beads that I have done in the past. And then the electric blue color on the top right there. To the left of that is that deep red orange terracotta color. Those two, when put together, are really quite vibrant. And against that creamy white texture of the painted brick on that wall, I think it will be really vibrant and pop a lot. And the other sort of visual aspect of the mural, not only those colors being really beautiful together and the textures with the wall, but also they sort of create ojos, many ojos repeating. So another title I had been considering with this piece is Mil Ojos, 1,000 Eyes, and I think it could be really beautiful. So each of the beads are going to be independent with a jump ring connecting them to the clay tiles. So there'll be movement. Anytime there's a little bit of wind going by, just a little bit of movement to the piece. And so for the archival nature of the project, I am planning to make plaster molds, press molds for the tiles, and that would be a key. Anytime if a tile were to break, you can remake it easily with that press mold. Same with the beads. That being said, I have done a previous mural with ceramic applied to a wall in downtown Laredo, and it's been up for 3 years, and that's 3 summers, and it hasn't been broken or damaged. So I feel pretty confident in the application of these tiles.
So both the terracotta and the blue, or the red is terracotta material and the blue as well? Or
Clay material.
Clay,
yeah.
clay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what's the inspiration behind it, because besides just, is it the Mil Ojos?
Yeah, the Mil Ojos, moving here was really inspired by a lot of the cultural practices around the Ojo, and I like that, incorporating it into the mural, but I also love this idea of movement with this piece, and I think applying ceramic to a wall can be really exciting with the texture, and having this be right downtown, it's interesting. So my previous mural's on this location as well, on Zaragoza Street, right across from the border crossing. And that mural has a lot of aspects of interaction, like opportunity for public interaction, but it's a place where a lot of people don't go, you know? So I wanted to have something that would be more visually striking, and this repeating pattern is really gonna catch your eye because it's gonna be very vibrant. And another idea that I had was to possibly forage for local clay to add in with the commercial clay. And I thought that could be a really beautiful metaphor. So people will see it from the street. You can see it from farther away because it's going to be so vibrant. But then possibly that knowledge of it being combined with clay from Laredo would be a reason for people to go see it and touch it and experience the beads and hear it.
Are they well secured? The touching, I'm sorry, by them touching the beads they're not where they're gonna come off?
No.
So
So I use
secured.
this process a lot in my own work, my sculptural work. And so the wire is embedded into the clay in the firing process with nichrome wire, which gets fired up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is in there permanently. And then the jump rings are attached, they're secured through a jeweler process. And I haven't had any of them fall apart, and I've been doing this for a while, but realizing weather, people, everything, it would be a very simple repair process to have another bead on there.
Be nice if we can get the land over to reflect some lighting accent to it.
Right, it's a city building.
We are
City's,
in the-
Finance director.
That's
can
what's
you make
up,
it happen?
that's the landowner. That's Church City.
I'm being sarcastic. Gotcha.
Any questions or comments?
Looks great.
That's great.
Different, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and the sketches you're seeing are just like swatches, renderings, and the whole thing should be a pretty delicate chain link fence. I'm really excited about it, so thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
On to the next one is, the proposed location is 1002 Hidalgo Street. And for this one, I do have two artists that were approved also from, the previous RFP. One is Desiree, and, that's her design. And then this one is Alan Gindick, which was a previous design as well. But this one was located for, I think, La Posada. And the location, that one's Laredo Center for the Arts in the middle, and right across the street is the location of Hidalgo Street.
So you have a recommendation on which one, or?
I mean, I did reach out to Miss Desiree. She was interested, and she does seem to be interested. Just right now, I wasn't able to get a hold of her today in the morning. So I just don't know if you would like to continue with this recommendation or go with the one for Mr. Alan Gindick for this location.
Whoever replies. I think that one might need to sit out until we actually get an artist to apply.
Okay. So we put this one out again for,
Well, I mean, if you've got those two artists, if whoever is interested in, because I think we've already approved the designs for,
yes,
we're
and
good
as,
with them.
as mentioned-
I have a personal favorite, but, let's get the artist to apply and tell
And
us.
I was talking to Miss Desiree, back and forth within probably 2-3 weeks ago. We've been back and forth, and I did ask her if she wanted to consider another drawing. Yesterday she mentioned that she didn't have another drawing, and today she did not reply. So I was just putting those, but we can always put those both for, to consider again, or reconsider.
Okay.
And this one's the third location. This one is also by artist Mr. Abel Gonzalez. And the proposed location for this one is 819 Iturbide Street. The mural design is Balcones y Flores, Laredo's Living Heritage. And it's the whole large scale of the mural features. Mr. Bernal is the owner for this property. He is here, and he is in agreement with Mr. Gonzalez for this mural. So I did include the fee base and the timeline, which will be 6 weeks from the mural's initial start. And he's doing the front of the facade and the side.
So that clay porch is going to be done by the property owner?
I'm sorry.
I see a clay porch,
He's gonna draw it.
so it's gonna be a drawing, not an actual.
He's gonna paint the porch, right?
Yes, he's gonna.
That's the mural aspect of it.
Gotcha.
That's when I first saw it, it's like, this is a paint job, not a mural.
No, he
But
will be.
it's actually a paint.
Yes.
Can we put that back, just to look at it? That's the first time I see it.
Do you want me to?
No, I'm saying for,
I'm sorry.
819. So including the greenery is all paint.
Wow.
Yes. Mr. Bernal had seen the one from Iturbide, and he wanted some more or less the same concept to go with this property as well.
So where does this put us in terms of the 50,000 that we had allocated? Do we have enough for all four?
What's been used is the 14,608.
So can you go back to the earlier ones that, we got the 14 for 819, but what about 1002 and 802?
Then that's one proposal. Mr. Gindick had 7,000 and Ms. Desiree had asked for 12,000. And then Ms. Bayless, I believe she had mentioned if she works on that section would be 7,000. If she extends the whole wall, it was double the price, correct?
So we have 35,000 left minus whatever we might approve today. Which looks like.
So we're over 4,600 if we work off of their 44,608 is what I'm coming back with.
But if you go the entire length of the wall, it goes to 14.
For another?
7. 14 total.
That would be a whole, I think if we do another
Mural next to it.
Next to it. Along the same concept.
Okay. Well, think about that while we work on while we get to the agenda item.
Okay, I just wanted to touch base on one more thing.
So my personal preference, I just put it on the record, is the Monarch Highway. I think that's it has such vibrancy. And of course, I'm not an artist or anything, right? I've said it before, I'm the furthest away from that, but finding a place for that one would be great.
I agree. No.
I know there's been attempts, various attempts to place that one. The 1819 Iturbide is a big scale project. Is it clear if both walls are gonna be done, both facing the street? Did you say yes?
Yes,
or-
he mentioned it's Iturbide and
Okay,
the other one on the side, which
yeah. So, okay, so the board has something to think about for a few minutes later. Anything else you want to add on the presentation side?
yes. So a potential unveiling for the mural, if interested or considering an unveiling. There is a small business week coming up from May 5th to the 9th. There will be a mixer event on May 8th at the House of Whiskey, which is across the street from this property. And the time is to be determined. I'm thinking it's between 4 to 6 p.m. or after work hours. In case if you would consider that day or if for an unveiling on that day, since there's going to be an event going on in the downtown.
Okay, I mean, certainly I think we should consider a date that makes sense for everyone. I see the council members back there, so we want to make sure she's available. She's part of the whole reason why we're doing this too, so making sure our city management is available, make sure all the right people beyond this board, right, are available. So if that can all get confirmed and it works for everybody, I think the board would agree with the date, right?
Whiskey's involved, after hours certainly works. After hours certainly
Yeah.
works, yeah.
So if May 8th is available for everyone,
I mean, if y'all want to check your dates I know it works
I
for
mean,
me.
and the reason I mentioned this is because I believe we're having in collaboration with Laredo Chambers, there's going to be an event, and I believe the city will be also participating to some extent. I'm not sure there's going to be a street closure. We still need to get a hold of schedule a meeting. It's still 1 month down the road, just to see exactly what
Sure.
what we will be proposing for that day.
I think the more that's going on that day, the better. Yep. Get us more exposure. So I would say tentatively
May 8th?
commit to that, and then let's confirm others.
Good, man.
Any comments on, anything else on the mural program?
Not at the moment.
I just, for the artists, is just get the documents as early as you can from the city, so you have time to review them. We already have one artist, obviously, and property owner that has signed, so you have that sample that can be shared with them. Okay, we're gonna move on, and thank you very much for your work and for spearheading this project for everybody. Item G is project plan and finance plan. I don't have an update on that item. I'm gonna move on then to item, H, or, 6H, Webb County's participation on the TIRZ. I'm gonna ask Ms. Martinez to help me. This item's been lagging in scheduling before council. And we really need to, I guess, visit with the city manager about putting it on the agenda at possibly on the 22nd.
Okay.
And I think the board's aware, and it's just, again, an exercise to get some parameters from city council on visiting back with Webb County for their participation. It's really important that we go back soon. It's been quite a bit of time. All right, we're gonna move on to action items.
Chairman,
Yes.
is it okay if we shoot for the first, meeting in May? Because I believe the deadline for the April 22nd has passed already on the city side. We're not,
If we don't have an option, I guess it's okay, but I would prefer sooner than later.
we'll double check, but
Okay.
there was a deadline already of last week for the April 22nd. But
Okay.
if not, it'll probably be the first week of May,
Okay.
the first meeting in May.
Council member, you wanna make a comment?
You can put it as an item, we can discuss that.
Okay, just because we've been waiting for like months.
Right.
And actually, it is gonna be up for discussion so that, the council can make a determination on what can be done.
She can
Yes.
place it as a
You can place it, yes, as an item under yours, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so we'll just do that.
Yeah, so it will be an item that will go into executive session, so
Yeah.
I think it's gonna end up being in that section of the agenda, right? Or will you list it as an executive session item?
We'll go to mine, but if it needs to go to the back, we'll
Okay,
Yes.
I think just, let's think about the timing of everything, but, since it hasn't come from the city side, I can bring it up to move it forward.
okay, all right. Let us know how it gets rolled out. You know, if the city manager or you agree, whoever decides to post it, that'd be great for us. Thank you. I'm moving on to action items again. Item 7 is discussion possible action to approve mural location, artist and funding amounts at 819, 1002, 819 Iturbide, 1002 Hidalgo, 802 Grant, as may be recommended by the Economic Development and approved by the board, and proceed to execute pertinent agreements with artists and property owners. What is the will of the board tonight?
I really like the, Ms. Bayless's sort of interactive, it's not just paint. But then I also like the mural that is sort of, I don't know, I guess a twin or a, sort of very similar to what we've already done. I think that, I really like this style, but I really like the interactive nature.
Okay.
I like your idea, I know, the monitor, I think the
Well,
monitor has to be there
We don't,
somewhere.
the artist doesn't have a project,
Yeah.
property owner, and that's the hard part with this,
Yeah.
is matching the
Finding.
artist with the property owner. So when you have that, I think we would wanna move in and do this.
And the question is, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the monies are involved. Because it looks like we could do a 14, 14, and a 7, something like that, or there's a 14 and a 12.
Well, I think the Hidalgo one probably needs to sit out for this meeting because the two artists haven't been locked in for that. So that's, I don't have the PowerPoint.
So then it'd be the 819 and 802.
Correct.
And do we want that full wall or do we want a partial wall?
I would appreciate the full wall, but two different, they have to merge, the concept has to merge with one another. But I think we would be doing a disservice just leaving that blank piece of canvas with an art piece.
So let's take one at a time. The 802, which is the clay project, are we okay to move on that, to take a vote on that particular one? That's a $7,000.
I thought that was the one where it was half.
It's half.
That's half, yeah.
So we're gonna do half there.
Half and entertain something else later? You can, I mean,
Sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yeah.
okay.
So
You don't want the whole thing, just one half.
She's already left, but she
well,
didn't
she's-
offer the whole thing.
Well,
Amanda,
my non-artistic mind is, I'd like to see that
The
Yeah, I
full
mean, there's
wall
the
section.
full wall, but for them to somehow try and blend, not the whole fence, the whole wall.
You want another
But I want
design.
another design
Oh.
that kind of blends in with what we already have.
Just a couple of points, we are kind of short on artists, so if she's offering to do the whole wall, also it's interactive, so I think if it's a full wall, it's
Well,
a
she
bigger
didn't offer
punch.
the full wall, she offered, for the amount she
No,
offered.
She did.
She did?
For double the cost.
For double the cost?
Yeah.
It's at
It- it
14,000.
can't-
Oh, she did say
Is,
that.
is there
I
room
missed
to
that.
maybe present some sort of other option that we
Or
can blend?
maybe ask her for a separate design on the second
On the
line,
second,
for that price.
14,000, correct?
Mr.
No, Ms. Bailey.
Ms. Bayless,
Well, I think she had just mentioned the side of the wall. I mean, we can always confirm.
did she offer to do the whole wall from start to finish?
Is she out there?
Did I? Yes, she is.
Can you bring
Yes,
it back?
please.
She's getting a lot of
Point, maybe we
discussion
can
on
do
her
some
work.
with the same artist in a similar
Yeah.
style.
Yeah,
but
no,
just different.
going to Frank, a different design on half the,
Yeah.
you know, and
so for them, for both, I mean, if you have the same artist, then they're very likely to match their, I guess, their idea to blend those together, so we don't have a white canvas.
You have somebody
with a-
agreeing with you in the
with a
audience.
nice
It's to not be not to be monolithic on a design, right, is to bring two together.
Right.
I'm sure there's an artistic term for that.
What is that term?
I don't know.
We're just dudes.
Well, I'm just happy we have proposals, like, how long has it been?
Yeah.
And it's good, it's good proposals. I mean, I really, for me, it looked fine the way it is. I generally agree that it'd be nice to have a complementary artwork instead of continued fence, but I like the fence theme.
Oh, the fence is, I like this, the story behind the fence, is just, can't we transition or extend on that concept?
You're interested in completing, Mr. Caballero,
I am.
with the fence? Or you want to
I
bring?
I like the whole topic of it being interactive, and I think if you have the full wall of moving features, I think it would be attractive.
Mhm.
But we can have two different concepts in the same theory and still be an
Yeah.
eye-catcher.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist, so don't ask me, but I like that, I do really like that interactive nature.
Yeah.
Whether you can blend two,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
okay,
and,
right.
and it's gonna be walking distance from the monumentals, it could be this time too, so there will be pedestrian traffic along with vehicular traffic there.
And it's a proven concept, because she already has something similar in this.
Yes.
And it's been what, 3 years?
Councilmember, do you wanna make any comments?
I don't think the full wall by the same artist. That's fine.
I know you have to leave, but did you offer to do the whole wall, or we're just looking at that section?
So the whole wall would be 14,000.
Okay, I didn't hear that, but others did.
Yeah, so half the wall. I did the like quick little sketch of half the wall.
So it's 14K, but would be for the fence concept.
Right, right.
I guess the dialogue we're having is, can you find in that great, wonderful mind of yours to blend maybe another transition into another concept or another, I guess, that you can match both and use that extra
The
wall
first.
for a different
Oh,
project.
yeah.
Do you want me to put the picture
Sure.
one more
That'll
time?
work.
So having two different murals on that same wall?
Yes, yes.
Two
That
different
they both
designs.
they both
He wants
complement with one
designs.
another.
Different
Tell the same
designs.
story, if you will, but
Okay.
kind of transition.
Yeah, I
to-
mean, I can certainly like work out some ideas for
Mhm.
that, yeah. Think about it.
On that.
Yeah, so I keep thinking it's gonna be there. Yeah, and so like either having the fence on the shorter wall or the taller wall and then having something else that kind of blends in together.
Mhm.
I got it, yeah. I can do some sketching.
That's good.
Okay,
and the last for the $14,000 price.
yes, I
Right.
mean, that's 14, so remember,
Oh,
we
14.
would end up with probably 3 projects if we stick to our budget, we would have a little bit left. It's up to this board. Now, we should, you want to discuss the other ones as well? On the 819 Iturbide? Oh, that's not hers, but,
Yeah, A19 is not hers, it's just 802 Grant.
okay, yeah, no, I understand that. Any questions before she leaves? Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Well, wait till you get to the parking lot, then we'll have.
We'll get you another
Thank you
deal.
so much.
Call number. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
So I just have a question again for 1002. Did we have artists that have applied for that or no?
We did not send another request because we had three artists that were approved from the previous RFP. So what we
And
did
she's
is-
one of them, right?
She's one of them.
Okay.
So I did reach out to her since 2-3 weeks ago. We've been back and forth with calls and emails. Just yesterday, she mentioned that she didn't have another design. So today, I did send an email and I did call. So I just want to confirm again. But
So we're
and that
gonna,
is the reason why I put.
I'm trying to use a little bit of process here. So we have Ms. Bayless that's applied and submitted. Mr. Abel, right, Gonzalez, that's reapplied on his second project
Right.
and submitted. And that's basically the applications, right? So it's really the one that's delivered and those two. So 1002 is a potential artist that would take that project.
Yes, and the only thing.
Just so the board understands that there's like, because there's a process, right, in terms of telling the city, I'm interested and I have a project.
Right.
So 1002 is speculative.
Okay.
We can always send a new RFP for new artists. We just
Well,
went
it's
back to
open,
what.
we left it open.
Yeah, it's open, but
Is it, what
Because we went
what I'm
back to
getting
what we
at,
already
Ms.
had.
Pineda, is the board may want to award, instead of dedicating 7,000 to Hidalgo, they want to maybe dedicate it to 819 where there's an active application.
sure.
Or, not 819, 802 grant.
I mean, I would make the motion, to
okay with
approve the 7,000 for the,
Initial fence.
terracotta, right, for the fence. Can't approve anything else until we have sort of a rendering, but at least for that piece, that we should move forward
With an opportunity for her to
With
bring
an
it
opportunity
back.
for her to bring it back for the full wall.
Okay.
For additional sums, obviously, it's not
Okay.
set for the whole.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, what is it, is that 802? No, it's
That's
819.
802 grant.
802 grant?
Yes.
Correct, okay. Confused with all your
Ms.
addresses.
Ms. Bayless is 802 Grant.
Perfect. I would make a motion to approve the fence design proposed by Ms. Bayless for $7,000 on 802 grant with the ability, which will cover half the wall, with the ability of Ms. Bayless to come back for additional funding and through presentation of a different design for the other half of the wall in 802 grant.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Mata and Mr. Caballero. Any additional discussion?
Not on this subject, but on
Well,
the arts subject.
Okay, we'll return to the other ones. All those in favor say aye on
Aye.
802.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? None motion passes. Thank you. On 802, you had a comment on,
Not on these particular projects, but since we're in the arts subject, I know I motioned that we get a hold of the Arts Commission to see if there's any interest in them, since we're in the arts subject and bringing art to downtown.
we did, and before, I think your appointment, we did involve them in the initial round that rendered the artist, and then we kind of fell apart in terms of getting the property owners to participate, right, except for that first one.
Correct.
You want to speak to their involvement? And I know where you're going is to get further involved in potentially dedicating resources.
The Arts Commission dedicating resources to the
The
downtown to, have art pieces, if you want.
We did have several meetings with the Arts Commission. The problem, I guess, was at the beginning that we didn't have property owners that were interested. We did send an RFP for property owners as well as we did as murals. We did not get any property owners for securing a property for a mural.
Matching the.
So, right,
the
so
others.
that's why we had these two city properties just on the side, just that were already approved for future references, not that we have to take them into consideration, or you have to take them into
But art,
consideration.
I would argue that art goes beyond the murals, monuments, sculptures, if you will, to bring sculptures to our plazas or sculptures within our properties, city properties, if you will.
Sculptures into the properties.
So I think what we could do is invite them to join us in some of these projects
Have dialogue.
and start the dialogue.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know there's an interest in putting some of those funds to work, right, ultimately. Okay, so I'll do that, and I'll CC you, and there should be a chair of that commission, right?
Yes. I don't recall the name, but there is a chair for that commission.
And that commission did help us put together the initial RFP. They did help us evaluate the first round of applications. So I think it would be good to maybe involve them if, now do they want to add some funding to these projects?
Yeah.
We could engage them. And I think there is a full commission, and I believe there's even going to be an arts
Do
manager.
you think there's an opportunity for that, like, from where you stand? Do you think there's an opportunity to do something together in terms of funding, like we're?
There could be.
And more so where I'm going is because of the aging of the CFs.
Yes.
So that's where I'm going from the finance.
They have some
perspective.
funding that hasn't been
That means-
allocated to any art projects,
So
so.
we have projects, now we have projects.
Yeah, so now that you have projects, and now that you're seeing that maybe, collaborating with them to fund some of these projects might also be something.
We'll invite them to, for sure, the mixer, for them to be, I'm sure they're gonna be there if it's an art project, hopefully, and have a conversation with them directly there.
Yes, we can do.
And start engaging them and see how else they can
Yeah,
fund some of these.
okay. Returning to the item is, then 819 Iturbide. How does the board wanna act on this item? It's a big project, complementary to the building. I mean, when I saw the image, I was impacted that, like, are they gonna build that out into Mr. Mata's comment, but.
I would be in favor of it just in the sense that we begged land
Owners.
and artists to get together, and we have it here. And I would hate to say,
Well, and this is a
Let's think
repeat
about
artist,
it.
right? It's
Yeah.
someone that's already done one, but
Proof
if
of
you don't do
concept.
that, you may not have a project if you don't award it, so, yeah.
so.
Any other thoughts, or, you know?
If we do that, we still have money left over for 1002?
I think we would have about 14,000.
Yeah,
7 pending on the expansion of,
you'll have enough for the 7, and then you'll be short on 1002. But I mean,
maybe the
50
1002 we
7
can
or
revisit with
7.
the art commission.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Or, I mean, the board arbitrarily said 50,000. I mean, this board has,
We could increase
we
it.
can, I don't think we can use bond money for this, but we can use operative money, operational money.
I like the idea.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on 819 Iturbide.
Motion to approve 819 with the stipulation of 14,000 for the Spanish style art.
Okay, is there a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by everybody else
Yeah.
here. All those, any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? None, motion passes. So then on 1002, I think we should,
Sorry, I took it off.
yeah, that's okay. On 1002, I guess just, it doesn't need any action, but it's just to hear back from those
Right.
remaining artists if they need a project or would like to do a project for it to be considered when we bring back the Ms. Bayless's presentation. So it could be next month. All right, thank you very much on that item. In, moving on, discussion and possible action to approve and accept FY 24-ENG-67 TIRZ number 1 Zaragoza Street Improvements Project as being substantially completed, pending the sole punch list item of the installation of the brick facade and stone cap, which requires a customized stone that is expected to be delivered and installed by May 13th, 2025, and extending the contract term to such date. I would like to make a motion that this be approved as presented with the addition of what Mr. Mata has indicated to add, to be specific on the AIA Form G74 that the contractor presented in terms of the days required for that to be delivered, but to sign the substantial completion form.
I second the motion.
Second by Mr. Martinez. Any additional discussion?
The only question I had is in making that motion, how are we gonna fill in that number? We're just gonna pick,
Well,
should we make that a part of your motion to say 60 days, because they're saying probably 30, but we could give.
Eliud or Edward, if you all want to give us some direction as to the count of days there.
Give us the worst case scenario.
Yeah, Edward Ochoa with KCI again for the record.
Go to the end of May.
Eliud de los Santos with the engineering department for the record.
So I guess I'll get with Eliud and we'll look at a date, but I mean, if you want a date now, I mean, we can say, so on that form, Eliud, that substantial completion form that ALC sent us, there's a particular date in there. May I see that?
Yeah.
What's the whole punch? Is it just cosmetic?
Punch list is typically things that are not disruptive of the operation.
No, but in this case,
Oh.
would 30 days be sufficient?
Well, the item's gonna come in before the May 13th date, so for me, I think that date is sufficient. Count the days to there.
That leaves us 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, I mean, you could take it to the end of May.
So
Count
what is 2 weeks from?
45.
Let's say if you gave me 60 days,
might
I
as
think
well give
60
them the
days
whole
is
May 30.
plenty of
I
time.
mean, it's
60 days,
the 8th.
because you don't know what weather and all
Yeah.
those. I'm okay with 60 days. I just want to have a day for the sake of having a day.
So the board,
We're gonna do the only item.
Edward, I think this is easier. The board is willing to put in that form 60 days, which is plenty of time.
Sure. Yeah, so the way I'm interpreting this, or the wording there, I think it's meant for like punch list items, because typically when you're substantially complete, you'll have maybe a list of punch list items that you address, right? In our case, they've already addressed all the punch list items. We've gone through the pre-final inspection, got the punch list, they've addressed the punch list, but really it's just that one pending item. So technically, what we would be doing is this, it says here, a list of items to be completed or corrected. On that list will just be
Right.
that one item, the capstone.
The board would like to give them 60 days just for it to,
That'll be plenty of time, I'm sure.
okay. So, did someone make the motion already?
I thought you did.
Oh, I did.
We
The
second.
motion would be to approve as presented with the contractor will complete and correct any remaining items, which we understand is one within 60 days of the above date of substantial completion.
Second that.
Is there a second?
Seconded, yeah.
Seconded by Mr. Mata. Any additional discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, item 9 is discussion of possible action to define and approve technical changes to the Iturbide exterior monument sign as may be defined. This item is, as discussed in the presentation part of the agenda of the meeting, needs to be tabled. It'll come back to the board, as well as the next item, discussion of possible action to approve the final downtown wayfinding sign map graphic as may be defined by the board. Motion to table item 9 and 10.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heather. Any comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. Item 11 is discussion possible action to approve and request the city manager and city engineer initiate and post the competitive seal proposal solicitation for the construction of the Iturbide public improvement segment under TIRZ number 1, downtown project 001 21. For the board, for this segment, there's sufficient funding that's been determined based on our last meeting, our financial workshop. Once we get down the road to the next segment, that'll be looked at closely. There needs to be a workshop basically you'll get an invitation. Hopefully you're interested in attending to look at material selection to try to identify any potential cost savings or changes on whatever materials are currently included in those plans and specifications. But for this is really just letting the city know that we're ready to post this and to initiate the process. We did have a preliminary meeting with the city engineering department and both the team that's here and KCI Edward and Eliud, and as well as Ms. Martinez, to kind of talk through what that would look like. There'll be a review of the solicitation by the team to make sure that it works as a proposal, so that we're able to, in the event that this comes out really high beyond what we described last month, which is in the 1 million mark, that we're able to maybe fine tune or value engineer material selection or scope of labor there. Do y'all have anything else on background that the board needs to hear on this item? No? Very good. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve and request the city manager and city engineer initiate and post the competitive sealed proposal solicitation for the construction of Ipapide Street public improvement segment under TIRZ number 1, downtown project 001-21.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Martinez. Any additional discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. The last item.
Did you want to discuss the potential, workshop or?
Yes, actually, and I didn't bring the notes for the date, but we set up a tentative date, right? Do you
Yes.
have that?
Yes, so, it was suggested for that item to have that workshop on May 30th as a,
April 30th.
April 30th, as a noon meeting.
So again, the purpose of this, and the council member and I and a group of people did a lighting recently. We've done various lighting walkthroughs, but recently in the last 30 days. And there was discussion about what the light fixtures, poles and fixtures would look like. So making sure everybody that's got a lighting project gets an invitation within the city, so we all can kind of get a line on what we're gonna select for Iturbide. We have stringer poles and we have light poles, so, and then we'll look at the brick, we'll look at the color, we'll look at all those components to make sure we understand what potentially, where there could be cost savings or where there's not cost savings. So the board, you know, if you have time, it'd be great for you to be part of it. It'll be a posted meeting, so I don't expect to have any action items that day. But essentially, it'll help KCI and the city engineering kind of fine tune that solicitation document.
And also, to just encourage also other departments that have downtown projects to possibly come and give their input, so that way we can coordinate a lot of the efforts.
You will help us with that, right?
Yes, we'll help, distribute the invitation to some city departments and some other organizations that we feel that might have some impact to this. I would also suggest that the venue not be council chambers, maybe a conference room or something where it's more of a workshop, it's more inviting to have opinions or look at products, because this format might not fit a workshop.
I agree. CVB's large enough?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll check, we'll see if that's a
Okay.
big conference
Great.
room, and we'll see what other big venue we can use.
And we will provide lunch. So, you know, you don't have to make lunch plans. All right, any comments, anything else on that workshop?
We'll get an invite, right?
Yes, you'll get an invite for sure, so you get a calendar invite in your email. Last item, 12, is discussion and possible action to approve and request city manager prepare an amendment to the project development agreement dated 9/23/21 between the TIRZ number 1 and the city of Laredo to include the TASA, the Transportation Alternative Set Aside program for Salinas. It's actually, the term is downtown, or the program is called, the project is called Downtown Safe Sidewalk Improvement Project. I just added Salinas Street in front of it. And initiate the request for qualifications for professional survey and engineering design services, subject to relevant agreements being prepared and executed. So as I mentioned earlier, I called it an amendment, and Mr. Morales, I don't know if it's in order for the board, still in order, as there is an actual standalone agreement. And I have some comments, more paper. I didn't realize y'all didn't want print. So this is essentially the same version that we signed for the Zaragoza, Iturbide, and San Agustin. And I think actually, congratulations, you simplified it from the prior version. Did you work on this? Or somebody else in your team?
It was a city effort. All the departments had input.
it's much easier to follow. I think you all took some things that were inconsequential.
But community development took the lead.
Thanks for the work. So I'm hoping that we can still take action and approve it, subject to final revisions, being made. The only thing, really, I highlighted some things that I wanted the board to understand. The highlights are just notes of what, the scope of the work that kind of what the TIRZ board is responsible for and why, what this achieves. So essentially, this makes the city our project manager, for all intents and purposes. It also assures that we're using city procurement procedures, that we're not duplicating improvements. I don't think that was there before, may have been, but I think that's a very good add-on if it wasn't there before. That's on section 3, that's highlighted. And it also makes mention of the city being responsible for all maintenance of the public facilities improvements that are being undertaken and delivered. On item 7, insurance, so the project number that carried over from the other one is the old, so that's one of my suggestions, is to put a project number on the first paragraph of this document, and then restate it under insurance if you'd like to put a number on it. That's the old number from the other document.
Okay.
And that's really all that I had. The highlights for the board are just things that I wanted to make you all aware of. This talks about a project subcommittee, which in the past was really more Able City and KCI. And as you all know, our main primary consultant on these jobs has been KCI, Edward, and Andrea, in terms of coordinating pretty much all the efforts. One thing we're gonna walk through the workshop on is material selection that came from the architectural team, making sure that you all are in agreement and understand that. So, but for this project, Edward Ochoa is still gonna be the primary lead on the consultant side. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the form and to request that the city manager finalize and bring back for execution. Does that work from a legal standpoint?
No objections, it's germane to the topic, and it was modeled after the original agreement, so I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
And then I make a motion to approve and request the city manager to prepare an amendment or project development agreement for the transportation alternative set-aside downtown safe sidewalk improvement project. Illustrate the request for RFQ, professional survey and design services, subject to the relevant agreements being brought back to this committee for signature and execution.
I'll second that. Seconded by Mr. Mata. One last comment that I need to make, and it's a financial one on the set-aside grant, is that essentially, and I've already stated it, but I want to restate it during this motion, this is a reimbursement program, so we will actually, we're gonna lean on Mr. Mata to decide the set-aside quantity that's required, whether it's million or whatever it is, that won't be touched until this project is delivered. I understand that there's gonna be draws and there'll be funding back, but I think once we get to this program, we probably need to have like a monthly report that comes to the board that tells us, okay, this is how much the city's outlaid, and then how much TxDOT has reimbursed, right?
I'll get with engineering.
So that's just a note for the board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes. Move to adjourn at 4:41.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heather. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? None, motion passes.